Hello everyone, and welcome once again to another edition of the Pikeville City Commissioners Report. I'm Shannon Deskins alongside City Commissioner Barry Cheney.
Good to be here, Shannon. I have my agenda and ready to roll.
We are. We talked a few minutes before we got started filming, and we've got a whole 30 minutes full of information to cover today.
We certainly do. Some good things happening in the city of Pikeville.
You know, we always say that, and how wonderful is that? In the economy that we're in this nation, we always have good news.
We do. We do, and I'll tell you what, we're growing, and good things are happening. And you know, you saw how excited I was when I came in. So
yes, you were smiling.
yes, we've got some real good news, and hopefully some good things can be talked about a little bit later.
That's right. You and I were both smiling recently when we got to take that first flight on Appalachian Air.
We were
from Pikeville to Nashville, and we were there going to Nashville, an hour and 10 minutes, 55 minutes coming back.
Yes.
Is that, I mean, that's worth smiling about right there.
That is worth smiling about. And you know, when Donovan called me and asked me if I would go on that, I was elated, and I felt that it was something that I could miss a day's work for to go and be a part of. There's a lot of things I wanted to see and look at. You know, certainly flying on the plane is always exciting. I love doing that. Mm-hmm. But I also wanted to tour the facilities, and you know, when you get to go behind the scenes, it's like pulling the curtain back and right. Getting to see what's really going on. You know, the employees that I was able to speak with were all upbeat and had positive attitudes. The relationship between the management people that were with us and those employees was excellent. And you know, for me, the reason I was so interested in that, Shannon, was, you know, if there's something wrong with the plane, is that employee going to be afraid to tell that executive, we can't get that out right now? Or is he going to say, well, we'll just run it?
Yeah, and that's not the case.
No, that is not.
It was 10 times more on the other side than I ever imagined it would be.
Oh yeah, and in fact, one of the corporate managers, he came over and shook hands with one of the employees who had just had a newborn baby. Mm-hmm. And you know, they exchanged pleasantries, and like I say, everybody was upbeat, and every place was, you know, the place was extremely clean, organized. Inflow and outflow of parts was organized, where new parts and old parts and used parts weren't mixed.
You know, what amazed me were all the different parts that they housed there. They don't have to order anything. I think they said at one point they could build an entire plane from the parts they had there, but they knew exactly how many hours the life of that part would be, or like how many landings for landing gear parts. And they know on a plane how many hours, how many landings, how many everything on every single part on that plane. And when it's time, that part gets switched out. There is no question about, you know, fudging on anything. I mean, they're very strict, and that was one of the ways I took away from that, was a feeling of relief. Yeah,
they are very strict on that, and the way they keep up with that, every part is cataloged and traced. Every time that part comes in and it's inspected, it is notated and it's kept up with. And you know, they remove it from service before the wear date. Right. And another thing I like, their inspections exceed FAA guidelines. They are better than FAA guidelines.
Right.
Like FAA may require 2 inspections, they're doing 3 and 4. So they're very, very conscientious, very safety minded. In fact, they've won an award for being safe, for their safety. Mm-hmm. And you know, that tells me that they're very professional and very serious about what they do. They fly country music stars, they fly NCAA teams. Even the University of Kentucky's softball team, or not softball team, but soccer team, and
I think
volleyball team fly with them. Reba McEntire flies with them.
When we landed in one of the other airports, now when we fly out of Pikeville, you're gonna fly directly into the Nashville International. Right. But because we were touring their maintenance facilities, we flew into the smaller airport very close to, and in that lobby there was the 8x10s of all of the who's who that has flown with them.
Oh yeah!
Wow, they didn't have much wall space left in that little lobby.
No, they don't. And you know, they've got a airplane mechanic school there. They've got a flight training school there. they fly to many destinations in United States. And in fact, they were talking about a small service that they've taken over in Michigan. That is a small town, a rural town that they fly.
So they understand our community and how to work with the people in our community, and that's one thing that I was glad to see, that it's not somebody that can't identify with us and the lives that we live.
Well, that's true, and you know, and I talked to Alan Howe, who's CEO of Charter Air Services. You know, he flew down with us, and we had a long discussion on the way down, and I asked him why prop instead of jet. And the prop plane costs 1/3 less to fly than a jet. And there is one for every hour flight. There is $500 worth of maintenance that has to be done to a plane. To a jet, that goes up to $1,000 to $1,500. This plane uses 160 gallons of fuel per hour. A jet will use about 340 gallons per hour.
So cost all the way around is a whole lot less
to
what we have.
That seat in that airplane will cost you 1/3 of what it would if you flew a jet.
And you and I flew on it. I mean, the seats, it's all leather interior, very comfortable, plenty of room. There's leg room. So I had no issues at all with the space, my personal space, once I was seated.
No, and the difference in time, you know, Mr. Howe told me that a jet flying the same trip may get you there 20 minutes faster, 15 to 20 minutes faster. He said, but again, you know, you've got all that extra cost.
For me, it's not worth paying 3 times more.
No.
Now, I was super impressed with Mr. Howland, Corporate Flight Management, and then Public Charters, the 2 companies that are working together to provide the service. So, and I know you were too. I'd try to find you a couple times, and you were over in the corner just asking questions, which is good though.
Well, you know, too, the tour of the Nashville airport was unbelievable. The 4 country music stages, and they've had
live somebody singing at all times.
Right,
and then you've got the small version of Tootsie's Orchid Lounge.
Oh yeah.
In there also, or Toots. I think that's what it's called, Tootsie's.
Yeah, Tootsie's, and
there was somebody singing in there when we walked by.
Yeah.
You know, it is country music capital of the world. I guess that's why they've got the stages and the music all throughout the airport.
Well, and you know, it was like being in a small town inside that airport with all the shops and restaurants to eat at, and just unbelievable what you could do there.
Now, we're teasing everybody, telling them what we're going to have, but that's going to happen very soon.
Right.
Actually, February 24th is the date that we've been told that the website's going to go up and you can start purchasing your tickets.
That's right. And what I like about that website going up, when you get on there, you will not only know the price of your ticket that you'll buy here in Pikeville. Travelocity, you can get it on there too, and that will take you to your destination. But you will be able to compare that price with 5 surrounding airports. So, you know, Tri-Cities, Yeager, Bluegrass, and, you know, I forget the other 2 airports.
You've got Johnson City, Tri-Cities, Huntington, Charleston, Lexington. Right. But yeah, you're going to be able to see flying out of Pikeville. You're not going to have to spend the gas to drive. You're not going to have to eat an extra meal. You're not going to have to sometimes even book a room for those early morning flights.
Well, and too, Shannon, they are willing to customize this service any way needed. If we need a bigger plane, they can provide a bigger plane. If there is...
let's hope that's a problem that we have. I'm hoping for that problem.
I believe it will. And, you know, like when UPAC goes to St. Louis, they can customize a flight that if a group wants to leave Pikeville, fly out there and stay the week of the tournament, they'll fly them out and come back and get them, and which could start up another business travel agency here in Pikeville for us. You know,
all the entrepreneurs out there are going,
Yes, and there's a great advantage, and you know, even to a popular vacation destination, like a lot of people here go to Myrtle Beach or Destin. You know, they are willing to fly you down this Saturday and then come back and get you next Saturday.
Well, those are things that in time will be great to see all that stuff come together. But right now we're looking at mid-April for the first flight out of Pikeville.
Mid-April. We do have a little setback. Sequester. I'm getting tongue-tied.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's something that we didn't want to see happen, but it did, and I hope that we don't see another one. But it did slow things down a little bit.
And I understand that was all the 3 letters. Like when you book a flight, you go to whatever. Like if you're going to Los Angeles, you know that's LAX or whatever. And Pikeville has been PBX for years and years and years.
Yeah.
But there's a separate number, and I don't know all of the details to it. But there's a separate code for that, and you hopefully all the time you can get that to be the same. But we're not going to be able to do PBX for Pikeville now.
There's our airport in Brazil that's
PBX.
got PBX.
But I like the new one better. So now when you go to book your flight, it's PVL, just like Pikeville.
Yeah.
I like that better than PBX.
Oh, I do too, absolutely.
So yeah, when you do, February 24th when that site goes up and you are going to book your flight, just look for PVL will be where you start your origin of your trip.
Yeah, well, I did make one request while I was there. The plane we flew down on was the UT Volunteer, and I did ask if we could have the UP Bear for Appalachian.
They said they'd try.
Yeah.
They couldn't make any promises, but they said they'd work on it.
I hope they do. I'll tell you what, I like the idea of the Bear flying into Nashville.
There you go. And they did say to start out that the flights would be 6 days a week.
Right.
And we're looking at an early morning flight out of Pikeville about 6:30 a.m.
Right.
But the good thing about that is they're going to get you to Nashville in plenty of time to catch whatever connecting flight you have from there on out. Because it's good. You're going to leave Pikeville and you're going to go to Nashville, and then you're going to go to wherever you're going to fly. And
right. It's a tremendous opportunity, and and the way things sound, I think it's going to be fairly reasonable.
With free parking. Now that's a big one, because I recently took a trip for 4 days, and I think I had to pay $75 to get my car out of the parking lot.
Usually $15 a day, I think, is what we paid. I flew out of Lexington a couple of years ago to Texas, and I think I was going a little better than a week, and it was $15 a day. Is what figured out too. So
but that's another savings. I mean, we talk about all the different ways that you're going to save by flying out of Pikeville, and that's another one.
It is.
You're going to park your car, and you're going to get back in it and drive it home, and not have to go through a gate and swipe your card, or give what little bit of cash that you had to put back on vacation to remember to get your car out.
Yeah, and you think about if we charter a flight to the UK game, you won't have to buy the gas down and back, which is about $60, and then you won't have to get a room, and you won't have to search for a parking place.
It's true.
So they'll probably have a van take you from the airport right to the game.
It truly is a win-win partnership between Pikeville and our Pikeville Airport and Corporate Flight Management and Public Charters. Those two companies that we've been talking about that are working together to make this happen.
Absolutely, and the thing about Corporate Flight Management, they are willing to customize and work this whatever way needs to be done, and
they want it to succeed much as it's their business, and Pikeville needs it to succeed. So I'm so glad to see two groups that are going to work so well together to tweak it. I mean, there are tweaks, and it's not going to come out being perfect off the bat.
Well,
we can tweak it, and they're willing to do that.
Right. And any company, their main goal is to make money, make a profit, and I'm sure that's their goal. But they're going to take this model because I think that pretty soon the Essential Air Service Grant is going to be over with, and there's going to be a lot of rural airports looking for a service that can come in and offer them a good economical way to continue their service. And I think Corporate Flight Management may be looking to get into that business.
Well, and another thing that you and I have talked about as long as we've been doing this program is why we've needed commercial air service here is for new business coming in. We've got a lot of sites that are great. The Marion Branch site is one of the best in the country from what I understand. And the problem you've had in the past is you talk to a new company and they're like, we'd love to come in and see it, and then they find out that once they land, they still have to drive 2 hours. And a lot of times you don't get a second phone call.
Right. Well, Shannon, we've lost 8,000 mining jobs. We have 24,000 supportive jobs that are in jeopardy. We need the Pikeville, Pike County Airport to be a catalyst for economic development.
Mm-hmm.
Commercial air service gives you that catalyst. And you know, we need to make it work. We need to work together. We need to make it work. We need to diversify our economy, and this is going to be a big part of it.
And one of the things that they talk about is, yes, we talk about the convenience of being able to go on vacation and the leisure travel, but what really is going to make this commercial air successful in Pikeville is our business people have to use this service.
Well, our business people will use this service. They've committed to use it. But what we're thinking about, it seems like we only think about the people that are within, that are traveling without. We don't realize the people that are outside of the area that are going to travel, in. I mean, most of the services, when you start researching a lot of these grants that come out, most of these services, the people that use these the most are people coming into the area to do business. Mm-hmm. And that's what you want. That's the big the pie that you want to get is people coming into your area.
It's a tourism thing.
Yeah, and
a lot of times.
And the problem with Central Appalachia, from the time ARC did their research, their finding was Central Appalachia's problem is that it's isolated. This breaks isolation.
So we're looking forward to that mid-April date when we can take another flight together, right?
Right, I'm ready.
I am too. But I know there's a few other things that you and I wanted to talk about as well, because I'm sure that we'll be talking about commercial air for many shows in the future. But some of the stuff that's going on in the city is some exciting stuff also, too, especially when we're the first town or the city in the state to do something. And I understand we're about at that point with being able to move the stormwater out of our sewer system.
We're going before the Kentucky Infrastructure Association. We are the first city in the state to get our stormwater out of our sewer. And we did it, well, I think we may have had $1,000 or $2,000 fine at some point. But other cities, there's one Eastern Kentucky city that's been fined $400,000, and one of the bigger cities in Kentucky has been fined over $1 million for non-compliance. But we are in compliance, and this was an unfunded mandate. Mm. We are in compliance. We are going to be the first ones to have it done, and you just can't imagine how happy I am this is over.
Yeah, well, we've known for a while our sewer system, we're scared that it's close to capacity anyway. Right. And now that you can take some of what's coming into it and divert it out of that gives us a little bit of breathing room.
Well, the thinking when our sewer system was designed was that you wanted the storm water to come in and flush. But now the thinking is, no, you don't want that at all. You don't want any storm water in there. So you were caught in the middle, and you had this unfunded mandate, and it looked pretty tough. But we have come out. UMG has worked very hard, and they've come through for us. And we're going to have it all out.
I mean, it's a scary thought to think you're going to have to go back to the way things were originally constructed, I don't know how many dozens of years ago, and try to change that. But yes. The good thing about our city is so forward-thinking, and they see challenges, and they're not afraid of them. We just tackle them, and that's what you guys have done with this project.
Well, that too, and which we've got a payment to Vaughn and Melton here, who's designing our new sewer plant. And the reason we have gone with the membrane system is that the water that comes out of that sewage plant will be almost pure enough to drink.
Wow.
And there will be, and we can actually have a market for that. And there's some things happening. We may actually have a market for that. But that doesn't leave the burden for future commissions to try to deal with EPA regulations. We looked at the IFAS system, which would probably have been a couple of $1 million cheaper, but it left too many unanswered questions about what if future regulation got stricter. Right. And then it hindered our growth too. this system that we're putting in, we can grow as the city grows with it, and it does give us, well, we're environmentally responsible.
Right.
As I guess is the word I'm trying to use.
Well, that's good news as far as that. You always want to have room to grow.
Right.
And I think that gives the city that as far as that aspect of it, which is one less thing you have to worry about and more time you can focus on what needs to be done. I understand with the police department, we're going to have a little bit of a change as far as Operation Unite's shaking up some things. Well, I don't say shaking up anything. They're making some changes to their investigation section.
They are making some changes. They are I guess, laying off their investigators. They are going to pay for one of our officers, to become a Unite detective. He will still work with the force. He will be investigating drug activity in the city of Pikeville with the ability to investigate countywide. And we already have one officer that works with HIDA and the FBI, but and he is paid by the state. But the good thing about this, or the difference in these two, you may say, well, why do you need two? The HIDA and FBI, they deal with the bigger drug dealers.
Higher up on their chain.
I hate to use the word high-end drug dealers.
I know.
You know, but you know
the one who distributes to the street level.
Right, and that's the ones they go after, and the Operation Unite deals with the street level drug dealer. And you know, a lot of people say, well, you know, why do you fool with those? You know, you get rid of the big ones, and you know, the little ones will just dry up and go away. But well, they won't. The reason you have the street level drug dealer is this is a guy or lady that is selling these drugs just to support their own habit. And this forces them into a place for them to get help. Because most of the time, until they hit that wall or hit bottom, you know, they won't seek help. And this is a way to force them into getting
quicker
help.
Hit on that bottom to where they realize they want to turn things around.
Right. And you know, and then you attack the problem from both ends. You attack supply, but then also you attack the.
So one of them, it's basically, I guess you could think about it as one side is the business side of drugs, and there is a business to it. I mean, it's a money-making deal for those people, and the other one is trying to help the people that
the consumer side
that are caught.
You're driving up the demand with the consumer, and you're also cutting supply.
So you will probably have one of your officers who's promote to detective, and then their salary will be paid by Unite.
Right, he'll be promoted to detective. We've got two officers that will be able to be out on their own. Probably by the time the show airs, they will probably be ready. So we'll have two extra officers coming in.
That's
and
good.
We will not be short at all. And
that's great, because we talk about all the growth that the city is having right now. You know, we're going to need law enforcement, and we've got one of the greatest police departments in the state, and fire departments, and that's something else we can talk about. So fire department's getting a new tool.
Right, we're going to have that infrared camera, imaging camera, and they'll be able to use that if a fire is going on. They'll be able to use that, and they'll be able to find anyone that's in that building anywhere.
It's just like what we see on movies when they'll take, and it's a thermal imaging camera.
Right, thermal imaging camera.
And they'll be able to look into a house and tell if there's someone by their body temperature inside that house, if it's a structure fire or whatever. I'd say the police department will probably be able to use it as well.
They will.
If they need to know if someone's inside a house for safety reasons, what part of the house, what room. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times we see this stuff on TV and we're like, that's not real. But that is one tool that we're actually going to have inside Pikeville.
Oh yes, and very, very, very good thing to have. Even if you have a lost child somewhere, you know, it can be used that way too.
So you know, the Bigfoot hunters can also come out and point it up into the hills and see if they see Bigfoot. You see that a lot of times.
Well, yeah, I don't know if we'll go that, but it's all right.
you never know.
That's true.
Talking about some more things that are going to be happening this spring, the first time we've ever had a horse trail in the city.
That's correct. We'll have, well, the horses are there right now. Betty Tackett is on the ball. I'm telling you, she is quite an entrepreneur and quite a business lady. She's got horses up there. She'll have horses for rent. She'll be having therapeutic rides up there, and so.
And the fact that that where you can mount and dismount your horses is handicap accessible.
Right.
You know, there's only maybe one or two other places in the entire state of Kentucky where someone who has a disability to where they may be in a wheelchair or don't walk well will be able to ride a horse.
Okay. And before we run out of time, Shannon, we may want to take a minute or two extra, but you know, I'd like to talk just briefly about the museum.
Okay.
Big Sandy Museum, which we will vote on an ordinance in our next commission meeting, which will be the 24th, on dissolving the board. Which, you know, there's no reason for it to be closed other than sickness right now.
No, we're talking about the Big Sandy Heritage Museum here in Pikeville.
Right,
okay.
That's in the old train depot. You know, that ordinance will give them 45 days after that to dissolve. If they need more time, city manager has permission to extend that time. This will be, there will be a joint board between the city and the county that will be made. All these gentlemen will be asked to participate in that board. And one of the problems that Big Sandy Museum had was it was running out of room. And another problem, they didn't have volunteers to keep it open all the time. And a lot of times, you know, it would be closed. And in this case, you've had sickness and it's been closed for some time. But as far as the city doing anything after the 24th, like I say, they're 45 days. But there will be a joint board formed with the county. And, you know, my personal opinion, something that I would like to see, I would like to see this board set up. I would like to see a lot of this Hatfield-McCoy Hatfield-McCoy things taken to the Phelps area and maybe use the Phelps courthouse over there, and the museum be allowed to take over the Hatfield-McCoy tours in order to support them. And we, the city, is going to be offering a $15,000 grant to the county to help prepare the new facility.
That's a good incentive. So,
oh yeah.
You know, and our Hatfield-McCoy tourism is just as strong now as it ever has been, and even stronger since the mini-series a few years ago.
Yes.
So we don't anticipate that slowing down.
Oh no, and I think if that can be done, like I say, this is my opinion, and you know, nobody's talked about this as far as I know, but if we can let them take over those tours, I think that they could be able to, it would be able to fund them, and they would be self-supportive, and it would be a tremendous asset to the community.
That's a very good idea. Hopefully they'll take it and run with it.
I hope so.
And I'm sure you and I'll talk about that again when we sit down on another edition of the Pikeville City Commissioners.
We will. We will look forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shannon.
And thank you for joining us for another edition of the Pikeville City Commissioners Report. I'm Shannon Deskins.